For 3 weeks, 25,000 summer steelhead smolts were held in this man-made pond into which the water of Whychus Creek was pumped. The fish were held here to acclimate to and imprint on the creek's unique chemistry. The goal is to give them a scent to follow home after living in the Pacific Ocean for 2 or 3 years.
Basically what we're going to do is turn off the pump, drop the pond, and then basically use a crowder, which is just a wire mesh thing to help push the fish towards the back end of the tank. And then there's a outflow pipe back here behind us, and those fish will go right directly into the stream. And then they'll all be released right into the river. And then they get pretty much this evening to kind of figure out themselves how to get out, and then hopefully they out-migrate very fast down Whychus Creek, out into the Deschutes and out through Lake Billy Chinook to be captured in the selective water withdrawal facility on Lake Billy Chinook.
At the selective water withdrawal fish collection facility, these fish will be counted, marked, and trucked around the dams, then released into the lower Deschutes River to continue their journey to the ocean. Acclimating fish to a specific stream is a new wrinkle in the effort to restore salmon and steelhead runs to areas that were cut off in the 1960s when Pelton and Round Butte hydroelectric dams began operating. Until recently, fish were live released in tributaries without acclimating. They didn't do well finding their way downstream to the ocean, and precious few returned.
When do you think you will start to see or sense that this is working or not?
That's, ultimately the hard part with respect to anadromous fish and doing studies is ultimately you're not seeing any of those results for at least 2 to possibly 4 years just with one specific release. We know that the smolt numbers were implemented in 2010. We started to see a few more fish start to trickle in. In 2015, the smolt releases were increased to 50,000. And this year we're doing 100,000 fish per respective species.
When these fish return beginning in 2022, they'll find good spawning habitat in the Camp Polk Meadow Preserve, thanks to the Deschutes Land Trust.
We began implementing restoration in 2009, completed it in 2012, restoring over a mile of creek, many miles of side channels, 200,000 native plants. It was just a massive undertaking, and a lot of our partners like Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife who are helping us monitor and keep an eye on things.
Nearly 70,000 Chinook salmon and steelhead will be acclimated and released from this pond into Whychus Creek this year. If successful, similar acclimation facilities may be installed or expanded on the Crooked and Metolius rivers.
This is the first year we've done something like this, so this is the kind of pilot study with respect to these facilities and how they operate. But from previous studies and other basins that have utilized these, they've found significantly better out-migration for the smolts, as well as the adults that do come back, they stray significantly less, meaning that those adults that do come back, they go back to that specific tributary in which they were released.
If successful, and that's a big if that will take years to know, there could be some serious salmon and steelhead returns in parts of the Upper Deschutes Basin where they haven't been seen since the middle of the last century.
You sure you want hundreds of native spawning Chinook and steelhead tearing up these waters?
Yes, that's why we're doing it. Yeah, historically this was a premier location for spawning steelhead and Chinook salmon, and so to have them back would be amazing.
I'm Brooke Snavely reporting for The Great Outdoors.